Buffs Nation, what's going on? It's great to see people already in the chat. I'm sorry, Dominic. I know I was running a little tardy, but we're here. We're ready to be talking Colorado, everything, Coach Prime, and really excited to have Bird's Eye View back on the channel. We were able to connect last week before his trip out to Boulder, which was a lot of fun. So he was there, for all the action, all the madness that unfolded late last Saturday night. So please be sure to give him a shout. Go subscribe to his channel. And without further ado, let's bring on Bird's Eye View. Bird, how's it going, man?
What's going on, man? All is well, man. I appreciate you for having me on again. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Pleasure to chat with you. Excited to talk about what's coming up, but also hearing about your trip to Boulder. I mean, this had to be one of the best weekends to come into town. I would just love to hear what this whole experience was like for you, being on campus and all that.
I mean, it was unreal. Of course, coming all the way from Virginia, not seeing mountains like that. I mean, it was crazy, man. Getting on campus, seeing all the tailgating, just seeing everyone, super excited, chanting "Skol Buffs" everywhere you look, seeing Colorado gear everywhere. I mean, it was so much fun, enjoying the tailgates, being able to be a part of the walkthrough when the team walking through the fans. I mean, the actual game day atmosphere in itself, all the celebrities being in attendance. I mean, it was just unreal, an environment I've never been in before like that.
Man, I love to hear that. I was jealous, man. I was jealous watching it on TV and watching it with Big Dog. I bet the atmosphere, like you said, was just electric. Where were you at for the game?
So I was in the end zone near where they had the overtime. I was behind the Colorado State bench. So I was kind of in the Colorado State section a little bit. They had a little bit of fans in front of me. I was kind of going back and forth talking trash with them. They actually really thought they had that game wrapped up in the fourth quarter. It was kind of crazy. They were talking a lot of trash, man. But yeah, I knew it would be good.
Oh man, that's crazy. Did I'm sure there was a lot going on pregame, but you saw Ralphie, run out first, and then Lil Wayne bringing out the whole team. Was not expecting that. That was super cool. What was going through your mind seeing Ralphie and then seeing the team run out?
Most definitely, yeah. So I've seen Ralphie on TV, but it's nothing like seeing it in person. So when I saw him wheel him out there, I'm like, oh, this is legit. Like, he really about to run out on the field type of deal. So, I mean, to actually see the amount of work that it takes that control Ralphie, of course, the amount of workers that was out there running full speed, seeing them like stretching and getting loose before the actual run itself. I was like, man, this is legit, man. And then, to see just the fans going crazy. It was like, man, this is an atmosphere that you just got to be in attendance to feel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I forget if I told you this last week, but all the handlers, they're on scholarship as well. So they're putting in work, with Ralphie, every week, all year long. And to get her to this point where she's able to, to run out, they've been working with her for a few years now. So it's really great to see. And she's still got, a few hundred more pounds at least to put on before she's full size. So she's not even at her peak when it comes to her physical performance. So, man, it's an exciting thing. And talking a little bit about the game, what was your feeling kind of being there with the fans going into the fourth quarter, near the end? I was talking with Big Dog, doing a watch along with him, and I was shocked, honestly, that Colorado State didn't go for it there on that 4th and 2. And they end up, giving the ball to Shador, up 8, giving him a 98 yards to go. What was your feeling and experience watching how the end unfolded?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was kind of shocked as well, too, especially being an underdog. I thought they was going to definitely go for it there. But to me, when I saw that Shador had to go 98 yards, I tapped my buddy. I said, this is a Heisman-type moment right here.
Yeah.
Go 98 yards, and not only having to get 6, but you got to get 8. Now, you got to score a touchdown, and you got to get the 2-point conversion. So it was just, unreal to see him really pick that defense apart. I mean, he went 98 yards, but it was really more than that because we had a couple penalties on that drive. well too, that kind of set us back. So I mean, he overcame adversity, going 98 yards with penalties, being able to get into the end zone, and then following it up, being able to go for two. I mean, hitting Michael Harrison, who had a phenomenal day.
Yes.
That was one of my guys that I was kind of talking about the last time we were on
Yeah.
live. Michael Harrison. So, it was just pretty cool to be able to see it in person and see Shedeur Sanders do what he's been doing all season.
Definitely. And with that last drive, one of the things that I loved about it was that Shador was involving everybody. I mean, Weaver had big catches. Michael Harrison, Jimmy Horn, of course, scored the touchdown. But, Tarvarish Dawson, I think, had a catch on that drive too, man. Everybody was getting involved, and Shador was just locked in. Were you a little surprised that they took the ball on offense to start overtime? I was a little thrown off to start, but obviously it played out.
Yeah, I was. I was like, wait a minute, this is not of the norm. But that's Coach Prime. I mean, he's not he hasn't been normal to anyone when it comes to playing,
Yeah.
football player. I mean, coaching. I mean, that's what he does, and he was confident, and he wanted Shedeur to kind of set the tone and put the pressure on Colorado State. And I mean, it worked. It panned out. He's probably the only coach in America that may have done that in that situation. But I mean, it's a reason why he is who he is.
It was so funny when I was listening to Shiloh talk yesterday, or in the press conference. He was saying, he went up to, his dad, Coach Prime, asking him, why he took the ball. And he said, defense isn't stopping anybody right now. So I want to keep the pressure on. And man, it was great to see, the offense click, and, they were just rolling, when it mattered most. Before we move on, talking a little bit about post game and all of that, with the hit on Travis, that was shown kind of a lot during the broadcast and everything like that. Watching it in real time, how was that? Did it look as kind of as late as it looked on television, or with the replays? What was kind of the vibe and the feelings of you and your friends and the people around you with that hit?
Yeah, it was definitely late. It was definitely extremely late for sure. When I saw it, my first initial thought was, "Oh, that's targeting. He's gonna get ejected." I mean, you're hitting a defenseless player. I mean, it was no point. It was uncalled for. Of course, I mean, it's football, so hits, malicious hits are gonna happen. That's part of it. But I mean, at the end of the day, I was kind of looking at it, and it was like, I mean, were you more so playing the football, or were you actually just trying to hit the man in a sense? I mean, the ball was on the ground clearly. He was already interfered with because it was a pass interference on that play with the original DB, and then he's coming over the top as a safety and just laid that hit. So it was extremely late. I mean, fans were kind of going crazy. They were losing a little bit. Of course, I mean, it's Travis Hunter, so when the star player goes down, it's a little bit different than anyone else. So it definitely was malicious, and it was late, but good thing it wasn't as bad as it could have been. He's not out for the year. He's only out for a few weeks, so he seems to be in good spirit. Of course, Coach Prime's in good spirit about it as well. So next man up mentality. Hopefully we can get him back for running in the stretch.
Yeah, that's what I'm really hoping for. And again, like, I was a little surprised, or rather very surprised, that that player wasn't suspended. But I was talking with, who was I talking with yesterday? I have so many people on, I can't remember right now. But yeah, some of the viewers can tell me. But I was saying, like, it speaks to the character of Travis Hunter and Coach Prime, just saying, like, hey, it happened. We're going to move forward right now.
Right.
And, it's kind of nice that, Shiloh had some different words to say in the press conference about that. But it's kind of nice that going into this game against Oregon, of course, I love the show. I love, all the celebrities, and all the ESPN Fox coverage coming in here. But it is nice kind of going into this week. We don't have to worry about who said this, who said that, none of that. The fight sells itself in a sense this week,
Right.
with Oregon coming into town. And I'm just excited that, Coach Prime and Travis, they're just like, whatever, we're going to move on, focus on what's next.
Right.
I do want to get your thoughts on Oregon here in a minute, but I forgot. I wanted to ask you this. Did you get on the field, when the fans rushed the field at the end of the game, or just even watching it unfold? What was that like for you?
Absolutely. So I did get on the field. It was crazy because I was talking to my buddy and we were talking. We was like, "Yo, if they rush the field, are we going?" And I'm like, "Yeah, for sure. Like I'm gonna get down there." So mind you, I'm in Colorado, kind of pretty much in Colorado State section a little bit.
Mhm.
So when I saw everyone rush the field, I'm like, "Bro, we gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go." So there were some students. There were some Colorado students that were kind of near me. So they were like, "We're going." I'm like, "Yeah, we're going. We're out." So we're like weaving through Colorado State fans, and they're talking so much trash, F, all this. I'm like, man, I ain't worried about none of that. I'm getting to this field. So we finally get down to the bottom, and it's kind of like a high drop a little bit. And
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, man, look, you only live once. I came out with Virginia. I'm going to make it happen. It is what it is. So I just cleared it, man. I just jumped in, landed on the field, ran on the field. I mean, it was dope. I was able to meet Jimmy Horn Jr.
Oh, so cool.
I tapped him on the shoulder, man. Got him on camera. Arden Walker as well. I mean, I went from one end zone to the other. It was just, I mean, just hugging random people. It was an experience that I've never had in my life, to be able to run on the field at a Power 5 game after a win like that. I mean, that's something I'll never forget.
Oh man, I love it, man. I love how much fun college football is. That is so cool that you got to meet some of the players. Y'all be sure to go check out Bird's Eye View for all the footage. And then I do want to follow up with you about this. Of course, I apologize that I went to sleep before you texted me, but did you catch the right bus? Did you get home okay? All that.
Yeah, it was cool. So we, after the game, of course, it was electric. So I mean, we were just walking, we were just following the crowd. I didn't even know where we were going at this point. So I mean, we ended up getting to like the little strip area where there's like all the bars and stuff like that around campus. So we was out there for a little bit, and then we realized, I'm like, yo, bro, like, how are we gonna get back? So with the whole bus situation, that's when I hit you up. I'm like, yo, bro, like, what I do with the bus? And so we ended up figuring out, the bus times, and it was still like an hour and a half from when we needed to catch the bus. So I'm like, bro, should we wait? Should we try to Uber? So we was gonna try to Uber. No one would want to take us back to Denver. So I was like, right, we gotta wait. Like, we tried to pay for Uber when nobody come. So I'm like, all right, we're just gonna have to wait. So we're sitting at a bus stop, and then I remember the bus that you was telling me to look for.
Uh-huh.
So we're at one stop, and the bus went to a completely different stop a little bit down the street and stopped. So I'm like, bro, that's our bus. We gotta go catch it, bro. So we just take off running, like we're weaving through traffic. We're not even caring, bro. We just take off running like 3:00 in the morning, and we were just running, man. I mean, it was fun still. So we were able to get on the right bus. We got back home, got back to the hotel. So yeah, it was pretty crazy, but it was smooth though.
Oh man, well, I love that. I had a quick little heart attack, but man, I was glad to know you got that, because yeah, catching the buses, can kind of be a pain in the butt. But once you have it down, the cost, man, it's always ideal. I mean, that bus ticket out there and back, $10.50, easy, easy. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about this game coming up. Well, actually, before we start, Steven and Lawrence have been chiming in, talking about the talk about Warren Sapp joining staff. What are your thoughts right now on that looking like it's going to happen going into the spring?
If that happens, that's major. I mean, to have a Hall of Famer come on board, I mean, the coaching staff is already one of the best staffs assembled in the country. So, I mean, when you add a guy like Warren Sapp, I mean, not only just on the coaching side, but the recruiting side as well. I mean, when you think, if I'm a defensive lineman and I'm coming in and my coach is Warren Sapp, somebody who not only did it, but did it at the highest level possible and was rewarded, with a gold jacket. I mean, that right there is something that you can use as a recruiting pitch. And I feel like it's going to be do nothing but help our, defensive linemen. I know Warren Sapp mentioned, if I can get my defensive linemen to play extremely well and have a quarterback on the opposite side like Shedeur Sanders, I mean, we can win a lot of football games. So I think that'll be something huge. And I feel like if it does happen, it's only going to be trending up in the right direction.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm just thrilled for it. I mean, Warren Sapp's awesome, man. And, combine that with Sal Sincere, Nick Williams, everybody involved in the pass rush and the D-line, it's a star-studded coaching staff for sure. And, you gotta wonder, man. I haven't heard any rumors on this or anything, but I wondered, maybe might Ed Reed hop in for a little bit or something like that, or even just pay a visit to Boulder. It'd be really cool to see.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but anyways, let's talk about Oregon. What are you expecting from the Buffs, this week we're getting a bunch of players back. Obviously, that should help with Travis being out for the next few weeks. But what are you hoping for? What are you looking for? What are you expecting?
I'm hoping our offense to stay hot. Our offense has been putting up points. I mean, 2 out of the 3 games we scored over 40 points.
Yeah,
So I'm looking for the offense to continue to stay hot. Shador Sanders to do what he does, man, protect the football, high IQ, continue to display great accuracy. I'm looking for, of course, Michael Harrison to continue to be involved with the offense. As far as defensively, I'm hoping for our defense to be able to kind of get in the backfield a little bit more. I love the way that our defense. I believe I read somewhere where our defense leads the country in turnovers. So
yeah,
we've a lot of turnovers, which is really, really something that we've been preaching all camp when it comes to the defense. So of course we want the defense to kind of continue to do what they're doing, getting the ball back to the offense. We want the run game to pick it up a little bit,
yeah,
right? Alton McCaskill possibly coming back. So of course, that's a huge impact. I mean, to get a guy like Alton McCaskill who has 16 touchdowns at Houston, to get him to possibly come back for this game, I mean, that is huge. I know he's hungry. He can't wait to get on the field. So as far as the overall game in itself, I expect it to be a game where we can actually come in there and still win this football game.
yeah.
Now, something that we will need to work on that I noticed that Colorado State kind of attacked a little bit was those underneath crossers. Now,
Hmm.
I know we played a lot of zone against Colorado State. And with zone, I mean, you just got to come up and tackle, right? So
Yes.
it's got to communicate with those underneath crossers, and you just got to come up and tackle. So I know we missed a few tackles here and there. So as long as we can tackle, get guys on the ground, because I believe Oregon's going to try to attack us kind of the same way that Colorado State,
Yeah.
right? And they have a decent offensive line. They have a really pretty good offensive line, honestly. I don't believe Bo Nix has really touched the ground that much at all this
No.
season so far. So, I mean, we're going to have to kind of dial up some things, confuse them a little bit in the secondary, which I know that we'll be able to do. And I feel like it'll be a game that we can kind of get in there and win. We're another 21-point dog on the road against a ranked opponent. We've seen this before. We've been here before. I think it's something we can kind of get in there and sneak one away.
Yeah, most definitely. I think what I was saying earlier this week was I'm pretty sure like the money line odds and now the point spread, it's pretty much identical to what we had going into TCU. And I think, this team, like if you're looking at it from game to game or just the moments within the game, they always play. I feel like when the moment matters the most, they've
Right.
played their best football. I think when they've been doubted, I still think at least offensively, coming in there as a big underdog to TCU, putting up all those points, Shador breaking the school records, and I know we were a slight favorite against Nebraska, but there are a lot of people, that were doubting that we would, be able to get a big win against them. And, we ended up blowing them out, which was great. So
Right.
I'm expecting from this team, man, to really come in there and play their best game of football so far. Like that's what I'm hoping for. I think we've seen different improvements throughout the team week to week. But like you said, this is going to be our biggest challenge yet in terms of making sure that we're taking the steps on offense and defense, that we're correcting the mistakes that we have, because it's been great to see us make plays, but we're still kind of shooting ourselves in the foot, making the job a little bit harder from time to time. And, hopefully we can, correct those mistakes. In terms of guys coming back, it's looking like we might see Demoy Kennedy this week, coming in at linebacker. We might see Travis J, Brandon Gant. We might see Van Wells return to the offensive line. You already hit on it earlier with Alton McCaskill. But yeah, let's talk about those players for a minute and what you think like their strengths are and what they can add to the team from what we've seen so far.
Love Van Wells. I mean, and it starts up front. It starts in the trench play. So Van Wells is huge for me. Not only being of course, offensive line, but he's a center. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's captain of the offensive line, right? So, I mean, possibly getting Van Wells back, I feel like it'll be huge for us. Demoy Kennedy. I mean, Demoy Kennedy is a guy he's just a freak of nature, man. I mean, 6'4", 220, can move the way he can move. I mean, our linebackers have played well. So, I mean, getting an additional, like guy like Demoy Kennedy being able to come back, I mean, I really think that he'll be able to. This is a game where he can kind of show the world where he really is and the ability that he does have. Brendan Gant is another guy where, I mean, he's kind of like that rover. He'd be playing like that rover position where, I mean, he makes some plays at Florida State. You know, Brendan
Mhm.
Gann is a guy that can really step in right away, and he has the ability where he can really make an impact immediately. Same with Travis J. I saw Travis J actually on the field yesterday. He's moving really well. I
Good.
mean, a lot of people forget these guys are all these guys were 4-star guys. I mean, these guys were legit guys that were sought after when they were coming out of high school. You know, so I'm extremely excited to see these guys coming back. Of course, losing Travis hurts. It hurts extremely.
Yes.
Hurts extremely a lot. So I'm thinking they'll probably be with Kendrick Breedlove. It'll probably end up being
Mhm.
the guy that comes in for Travis. But it's hard to replace Travis. You can't really replace a guy like him. It's just going to be a next man up type mentality. I was hoping Carter Stockmire can possibly come back. Carter
Yes.
really well. To be a true freshman, he doesn't play like it. I mean, he does not
No.
play true freshman at all. So hopefully we can get Carter back as well. I haven't really heard much about Jaquez Robinson. I'm not
Yeah.
if he's going to be back or not, but that's another piece in the secondary that will help us too. So I feel like it's going to be a total team effort. But it's something that we can really possibly do going up against this Oregon team, being a 21-point dog.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I love how you said it. You know, with Travis out, we're going to need kind of all hands on deck, and hopefully, this is something that, and I think definitely with this team, they're looking at it as an opportunity to prove themselves, to
Yeah.
grow. To show that like, hey, like they got a lot of. They haven't played their best football yet. They got more room to grow. Yeah. Now that you bring it up, I haven't heard much about Jaquez. Haven't heard much yet about, if we'll see Miles Slusher this week. But if we're able to get those guys back, that should be a huge lift for the defense. And I think too, Kendrick Breedlove kind of got picked on a little bit, this past weekend, filling in for Travis, and
Yeah.
that's going to happen, when you lose a guy mid game. But I think, I'm expecting him to come back and play a better game this week, having that full week to just prepare. And we got to remember, like, these guys are young, as easy as it is to say you're prepared to go in and perform, sometimes there can be a shock, when one of your star players goes down, and, you got to be that man, and that they're going to be targeting you. So
Right.
I think he's going to be, well prepared for a bounce back game. That's what I'm hoping for. And I mean, just with Travis J, Omarion Cooper, I feel like has been playing great football, and I
Ball.
do think we have the depth at the secondary to. It's not ideal, you can't shut down a full side of the field like Travis does, but I
Right.
think if we see some improvement with our front seven, getting a little bit of pressure on Bo Nix, I think our secondary could have a good day.
I believe so too. And you hit on a key point right there. Our front seven has to get pressure on Bo Nix because, of course, that's going to help the back end, right? So
Yeah.
we really need our front seven to get in the backfield, kind of make Bo Nix get off his spot a little bit, move around, make some throws on the run where you can be a little bit inaccurate on the run. So I feel like we'll be okay, but it is going to start up front for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. And yeah, we have our biggest test against us this week, and I think that's like what I'm just so thrilled to see, because I feel like we said, like this team steps up when the moment matters the most. I think with Van Wells returning, and just even going back and looking at Alt McCaskill, one of the things that impressed me the most about him with his freshman year at Houston was just his vision.
Yeah.
And again, like I haven't watched or gone back and looked it with much detail or focus on like how the running game is looking from like a vision perspective right now with our running backs. But I do think that Alton provides that ability to find those holes, to to power out those tough yards, on like a third or fourth and short. And I
Yeah.
think he adds a dynamic to this offense that should be fun, and that Oregon they haven't seen yet, so they don't exactly know how to prepare for it yet. But there's some pieces on both offense and defense where I think we are going to show them some new looks, and we got some stuff ready, hopefully, to make Bo Nix uncomfortable, because yeah, he's been playing great. 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yeah.
The competition hasn't been as tough as like what CU's faced so far, but for a guy that is historically known for turning the ball over at certain points, he's done a good job so far, and it's going to be up to us to make him uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm 100% right there with you for sure. And I feel like Coach Sean Lewis is going to show us some things that we haven't seen yet. I know for a fact that we've been holding on to some things, and Coach Sean Lewis is going to really get in his bag because I mean he's going to have to, right? This is our biggest test right here, and then you're getting arguably the best running back that we have in our running back room, possibly getting him back. So I feel like this is a game where we're gonna see some things that we haven't seen, and I believe it's going to really benefit us for sure.
Most definitely. And yeah, legal hustle king. Love you coming in here in the chat just saying, yeah, the pass rush has to be activated, and hopefully we have some interesting blitz looks, blitz packages. Like you hit on, Bird, is that this has been kind of a bend don't break defense. We've let up points, but we've gotten stops when it's mattered the most. And then also, not only have we generated turnovers, but we've generated a lot of turnovers in the red zone right now, which is great. And, I think one thing that I'm okay with, I can live with, if Oregon's going to beat us, with Bo Nix playing out of his mind. But that kind of has to be the strategy of, shutting down the run game. Let's put pressure on Bo Nix. Let's throw
Yeah.
him some things that he hasn't seen yet and see if we can force some of those turnovers and mistakes that he hasn't been prone to yet.
Absolutely. I feel like we really have to do that. We have to confuse them in the secondary, confuse our looks, mix up some looks. And then, like I said, their offensive line is pretty talented, right? He hasn't really around at all. So we have to really, put some pressure on him because he hasn't seen pressure at all this year. I mean, he's really just been standing back there, completing passes, right? So as long as our defensive line can get in the backfield, even if you don't hit him, just make him get off his spot. As long as he's not on his spot, and he has to throw on the run. I really believe that we can really, cause some havoc. Our DBs are really, really good. Even though we lost our best DB, I mean, we were loaded at that position. So, hopefully we just do what we need to do as a cohesive unit on defense, and because we know what our offense is going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, our offense is they're going to score points. It's going to be a game where we're going to score points right along with Oregon. But if our defense can get a few key stops in some key moments, we get a lead here. I mean, we got something for sure that we can beat Oregon.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that the keys to the game obviously is going to be taking taking an early lead. If we're able to kind of dictate pace
Yeah.
and take an early lead, that's going to be great. I think one of the things that I've noticed is the offense has kind of gotten off to a slower start over these past couple games, and we also haven't been running, much up tempo to begin these games, and that's something that I would like to see us get back into against Oregon, like we did against TCU, starting up tempo, not necessarily just working, the quick screen game, but really just the quick pass game. They're going to drop back 7-8 guys back in coverage, and it's going to be important for Shedeur to just find quickly what the defense is giving him and taking that, but what are some other keys to the game for you for Colorado to come out and get this upset, man?
Most definitely. One of the main keys is we got to protect the football. I mean, this is the type of game where you can't turn the ball over, right? I mean, it's going to be one of those type of deals where we're going to need all the extra possessions we can get. So we can't turn the football over here, especially momentum is going to be huge, right? So, of course, we also have to make sure that on defense that we tackle. We have to tackle, right? They're going to put our defensive guys in positions where they're going to have to tackle. That's what Colorado State did, right? They put us in a position where it was one-on-one. You got to make a tackle, right? So we have to tackle well. We have to run the football a little bit, especially because if we get the lead and you want to kind of control the clock a little bit, you got to run the football a little bit, right? So, and like you said, you hit on a key point. The offense has been starting slow these past 2 weeks. And we can't have a slow start, right? We got to have I want to see that fast start for sure. And running that up-tempo offense, the thing about going up-tempo is you have to make sure that you're completing passes and moving the ball down the field because you can go up-tempo all you want. But if you're not getting any first downs, I mean, you're 3 and out in 45 seconds or less, So going up-tempo is fine as long as we're productive and we're having positive yardage, when it comes to moving the football. So, I feel like we'll be okay. As long as we don't turn the football over, we tackle, and our offense, gets off to a good start.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think Armand brought up a good point here. I think we're definitely providing Oregon with their toughest challenge yet too. So Portland State, Hawaii, they took care of business. Putting up 70, 80 points against those teams, and Lubbock. Man, like I said earlier this week, weird things happen in Lubbock, man, when teams go there to play. They have a great home field advantage, and Texas Tech played them really close, but that also provides some opportunity of I think some things that we do well to exploit against their defense. Just like a lot of the strengths that they're bringing on offense, pose a challenge for our defense to show improvement coming up this week. So, man, I just want to see a clean football game, like you said. Eliminating turnovers, winning the turnover battle, wrapping up tackles, showing improvement with gap discipline in the run game so that we can effectively defend these zone reads. We knew that we had top end talent to compete. We also knew at the same time, some of this stuff was going to take a little while for everything to kind of run like a well-oiled machine. I think
Right.
we've seen evidence of it improving every week. And this is going to be a game that I'm really hoping and expecting that we see a complete performance from our team coming in.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. And that's what it's going to take to win. It's going to take a complete performance, unless, of course, Oregon just lays a complete egg. And I mean, they're just undisciplined and turn the ball over. Then maybe we don't have to play our absolute best game to win a game like that. But I mean, if Oregon comes out there and they're a formidable opponent and they're on their home to protect their home turf, and they actually they don't shoot themselves in the foot per se, we're gonna have to play a complete game to beat them. I mean, this is not gonna be like one of those type of games where we can make a ton of mistakes and they play well and we still win the game, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm right there with you. We got to play clean for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Bird, thank you so much for your time. Can't wait to talk after the game this week and seeing how that goes. For everybody that's watching live, thank you so much. Be sure to hit that like button on the way out. But before we go, tell all of our viewers where they can find you and what they can expect to see from you this week leading up to the game against Oregon.
Absolutely. So you can find me on YouTube, of course, BurdsEyeView, all one word on YouTube. You can also find me on Instagram as well, BurdsEyeView5 there. You can find me on Twitter at Baseball Driven. Of course, I'll continue, to pump out this content coming leading up to the Oregon matchup. If you want to see the vlog, I did vlog when I went to Boulder this past weekend, so you'll be able to see me vlog. I ran on the field, so I got that as well. Me meeting Jimmy Horn and Arden Walker, able to see that on the vlog. Went live out there as well. I was on live for like 2.5 hours, so you'll be able to see a ton of footage there. So yeah, just mainly follow me on YouTube, and I'll make sure I continue to bring you guys this buff content.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks again, Bird. Again, really appreciate your time as always. It means a lot having you on the channel. And again, thank you to everybody who's checking this out, whether it's live or on the replay. Be sure to subscribe to Bird's Eye View. Go give him some love on his video rush in the field. I got some homework to do and do that as well. So again, thank you so much, Bird. Thank you again for everybody for chiming in and participating. I'll be back later today here in an hour and a half with Big Dog Chico for Big Dog and Dave, our weekly segment. So I will see y'all then. And as always, go Buffs.
Go Buffs.